will you start the recording too?
As I will send back, I will make you the host, and then you make me co-host, and I'll do it as co-host.
Okay. So now we are live on YouTube.
Yes, we are live on YouTube, and we are going to begin right now. Let me just... Okay, can you make me co-host, Madame Zoom Master?
Yes, I will make you co-host, and then we can hand over to the contest chair.
Well, first we will have an introduction and the Energizer, and then, yes.
Okay, you are co-host.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our second day. It is great being with all of you again. I can assure you that this second day promises to be just as fun and exciting as yesterday was. Indeed, on our first day, we heard some wonderful speeches from our fellow Toastmasters, speeches that will remain with us for a long time. We had started off with our fun European competition and enjoyed listening to Italian, Greek, French, Spanish, and Romanian. In fact, I'm wondering how many people in our audience were able to follow all of those languages. We then shifted to a very entertaining German contest, which proceeded smoothly and led into tall tales, new for our district. There, our imagination was allowed to run wild as we were treated to stories involving talking cats, techno-earthquakes, South American henchmen who loved Judy Garland, Greek gods marrying Toastmasters, card-playing aliens, and airplanes taking us to another dimension. Now, how many of these speeches did you believe, ladies and gentlemen? But whatever the case, it was good fun. Now, in starting our second day, I will repeat my message of yesterday. To our contestants, I would like to say that you really honor our district with all your dedication and efforts. We're very proud of you, and we wish you the best of luck. To our audience, we regret that you cannot be all in the room with us today, but we're trying to avoid distractions. I really hope, though, that you'll be watching and that you'll be able to see the magic in the speeches. Now let us begin our second day with a special Energizer. Could we have sharing of our video, Toastmaster Frank?
Yes, ma'am.
Ouch, Darren LaCroix. Can you remember a moment when a brilliant idea flashed into your head? It was perfect for you. And then all of a sudden, from the depths of your brain, another thought started forcing its way forward through the enthusiasm until finally it shouted, "Yeah, great idea, but what if you fall on your face?" What do you do when you fall on your face? Do you try and jump right up and hope no one noticed? Are you more concerned with what other people will think than what you can learn from this? Mr. Contest Chair, friends, and the people way in the back. Ouch!
Over to you, Panos.
Thank you, Frank. And hello and good morning, home district. In the coming 7 minutes, let's evaluate Darren LaCroix. He's a Toastmaster. I'm sure he won't mind. So what you get to see is a speech from 20 years ago. Yes, this is a 20-year-old recording. Nevertheless, it is a winning speech. It was a winning speech back then, and it's still considered a winning speech today. So now we watched the introduction, but why is that? Because in the introduction, according to the champion's own words, lies the very reason that made this speech a winning speech. And now here's your time to evaluate Darren LaCroix. In the chat box, please type in what made this speech a winning speech. All, yes, I see some action. Can't wait for the comment. Let's see. It was funny. It was humorous. Self-irony, self-deprecation, unexpected turn of events when he fell. All in. He was all in. He gave his all. Humor, definitely, in his attitude. Energy, enthusiasm, audience engagement, physical humor. He is very, very cool. Yes, definitely. Coolness is an ingredient of champions. He had a great takeaway message. Okay, he already had the takeaway message in the first 1 minute or so. Body language. Body language. So the goal with this Energizer is for you to walk away knowing what makes this speech a winning speech according to the champion's own words. Because I followed one of his training sessions and he revealed his evaluation of his speech 20 years later, which brings us to today. Now I'm going to ask you another question before I give you Darren's answer to the first one. What could the speaker have done differently? Now, let's say you're in a Toastmasters club in a live audience. Obviously, this speech comes from a time in the past, given from the world stage. Now, let's say you are evaluating this speech in a Toastmasters club. What is the advice, or maybe, let's call it advice, feedback/advice that you give to the speaker from the first minute of his speech again? And we will see how this ties in. No advice. It's hard to give advice to change it. Definitely. What would you change? Let's say, how did the first part of the speech make you feel? Slow down the very beginning. Now, you see, one of the things that made this a winning speech back in 2001 and crowned Darren LaCroix as the world champion of public speaking in that year was that he had given this speech in about 36 Toastmasters clubs before taking it to the world stage. And that is 36 times. Now, in these 36 times, he collected feedback slips. You remember these pieces of paper where we would write our feelings, our observations, and our recommendations for the speaker? Yes, those are, you can still find these in Toastmasters museums these days. Now, the listeners were giving Darren advice. Here's the advice that we're giving Darren. You fell down. I felt uncomfortable. You should get up sooner. Now, let's break this down. You fell down and I felt uncomfortable. Is this advice or feedback? You can give me a thumbs up if you think this is advice, or you can give me a thumbs down or a thumbs up if you think this is advice or feedback. Thumbs down for advice, thumbs up for feedback. All right, this is feedback. You fell down, I felt uncomfortable. This is feedback on the way that I felt from a listener's perspective. Here's the next sentence to this. You should get up faster. Is this advice or feedback? You should get up. Yes, this is advice. You should is advice. And Darren was about to do that. He was about to follow this advice from a lot of other well-meaning Toastmasters. Now, type in the chat yes or no if you think that his speech would have more impact if he had gotten up faster. like falling down and getting up. No, no, this is one of those times where no is the right word. So in the speaker's own words, and it's a pleasure to reveal this to you because it was a revelation for me too. His coach, Mark Brown, the 1995 world champion of public speaking, told him, Darren, the audience tells you that they feel something. The feedback said they felt something. And then you know what Darren did masterfully? Remember this line, go back and watch it again. Did you feel that I stayed down too long? Remember this line from the video? Did you feel? He got into the listener's mind. And then here's the next line. Have you ever stayed down too long? There you have it. That is the moment that the champion himself describes as the moment that got him with this speech to win the world champion of public speaking. And to wrap up the learning point from all of this that I got from Darren LaCroix, and I'm delighted to share with you today. What do you think is the most important process in speaking? What do you think? Oh, very quickly in the chat. I've given you a hint, a solid hint. What do you think is the most important process in speaking? Transferring feelings, very good. Receiving feedback, very good, very good. All pointing in the right direction. Get into the head of the listeners. Sabine, I wish I had an award for you because you just earned it. And it would be delivered to you by Darren LaCroix because the champion himself puts it in these words. The most important process in speaking is the process that takes place in the listener's minds. The most important process is the process that takes place in the listener's minds. So all in all, Darren received the feedback that his listeners felt uncomfortable, and he turned that into a connection point with his listeners. He showed that he knew that they were feeling uncomfortable, and then he came back with an open question. Have you ever stayed down too long? Now, we will proceed with the evaluation contest, now armed with a little bit more understanding after evaluating a champion speaker. I wish you all a high energy day, high in learning and also in feelings. And let's remember, the most important part in speaking is the process that takes place into the listeners' minds.
Thank you, Panos. Thank you. Very interesting. And yes, the great moment is here because we are ready to start our evaluation contest. May I call upon our contest chair, Christina?
Bonjour, guten tag, buongiorno, kalimera, hello, and welcome to the District 109 Virtual Evaluations Contest 2021. I know that you are watching from around the world, around Europe, and of course from District 109. Thank you for joining us. This is one of the most exciting events with 6 talented Toastmasters who proudly represent their division. Division A in Italy, Division B, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Greece, Division C, D, and E, Switzerland, and Division F, Austria. Today, they will compete for the title of District 109 Evaluations 2021 Contest Champion. At Toastmasters, giving an evaluation is a skill that builds the success of active listening. Just like how we've heard with the previous speaker, that is what happens in the mind when you're listening, and also with thinking, analytical thinking. And once you put your thoughts together carefully, it can be how you address the needs of the speaker or adding value to your listeners. Evaluation is a speech in itself that can inspire and empower any audience. And I hope that we will enjoy that today from our contestants. Do you remember the first time you gave a speech in Toastmasters? And when the evaluator gave you an evaluation? I remember, and like most of you do, you probably remember what the evaluator said to you, how they made you feel, and how they gave you tips for moving forward to becoming a better speaker, becoming a more confident you, and someone that you have come to today. I love evaluations because it's very, very helpful. Now, I was not a confident speaker back when I first joined Toastmasters, and my evaluator, he gave me a strategic evaluation. The good, the areas for improvement, and of course, valuable suggestions on how I could become a more confident and better speaker. Very, very helpful indeed for me. Today, I have a sense of confidence about myself and I enjoy public speaking. All Toastmasters, like me, like you, we have all benefited from receiving evaluations and we have all given an evaluation. Today, the contestants will showcase their evaluation skills and techniques. And I would like us to enjoy the message they will bring through their evaluation. Let me just show a little bit of how the contest style is. The evaluation contest is a little bit different from the other contests. This contest features a target speaker who will present a 5 to 7 minute module speech. Once the target speaker has finished presenting their speech, the Zoom master, Sabine, today is our Zoom master, she will place all contestants in the breakout room. The contestants will have 5 minutes to prepare their evaluation. The Sergeant-at-Arms, I kindly remind that you announce the beginning of the 5 minute and the end of the 5 minute when all contestants have arrived in the breakout room. This is to ensure that there is fairness, that they all receive the same 5 minute amount of time. The Zoom master will then bring each contestant back to the main room after the 5 minutes. The contestants will base their evaluations on the speech of the target speaker, and they are judged by a panel of judges. Our esteemed panel of judges, we have great judges today. Now, the judges will not take into consideration the timing of the speech, only the timers will take note of the time. At the end of the contest, we will have a brief interview of the contestants. This is the final level for the evaluations contest, and I am excited to hear the target speaker's speech and the evaluator's evaluations. To enable fairness for all contestants, there are a few rules that must be followed. When a contestant is speaking, all other contestants must remain muted with their camera off. We will observe 1 minute of silence between each contestant's evaluation to give the judges time to complete their ballots. Please extend this courtesy to all contestants. After the final contestant had spoken, please remain muted until all judges have been moved to the breakout room. Gentle reminder, contestants, you are permitted to use a blank A4 sheet of paper to take your notes during the speech and for your preparations during the 5 minutes. No electronic device may be used to take notes during the speech and also during the 5 minute preparation or at any other time before you present your evaluation. The Sergeant-at-Arms will indicate the start of the 5 minute preparation when you are in the breakout room. To our viewers, we are pleased to have you today with us. And I have also to ask from you kindly, please refrain from recording any part of this broadcast. The District 109 will be recording the contest and you can enjoy the replay via the district's YouTube channel. Thank you for your understanding and for your cooperation. Now, I would like to check with the contestants. I would like to ask you, please turn on your video and remain muted. And this is for the purpose of checking your materials. Do I have the contestants in the room?
Yes.
Thank you. I would like you to hold up your blank sheet of paper. Thank you. Can you show it to me both sides? Hold it up closely to the camera so that the judges and officials can see for themselves. Let me count. I have in front of me, yes, I have number 4, 6, 3, 5, 2, 1. Do I have everybody? Did I mention all the numbers? Perfect. Thank you. You may turn off your camera if you wish to. I will now call upon the timers. Timer 1, please demonstrate the timing signal.
Good morning, Madam Contest Chair. The timers, I will change the background color. On the 2-minute warning, I will display and hold the green background. On the 2 minutes 30, I will display the yellow. And on 3 minutes, I will display the red, which will remain on for the rest of the speech.
Thank you very much. Timer 1. Our timer 1 is Mark. Timer, please keep track of the 1 minute of silence between each contestant when they have delivered their evaluation. Thank you very much for showing us 1 minute of silence. At this point, the Zoom master has been kindly requested that you could also share some information with our viewers that would add value to the experience today. And of course, I would like if either the Zoom master or the timer to announce the end of the 1 minute of silence. Timer 1 and timer 2, are you ready?
Contest Chair, I can confirm as timer 1 that I am ready.
Thank you very much, timer 1 and timer 2. Chief Judge, are we ready to proceed? I would like to ask, have all contest officials been briefed?
I can confirm that all contest officials have been briefed.
Thank you very much, Chief Judge. Our Chief Judge today is Margarita. Thank you very much, Margarita. I also confirm that all contestants have been briefed and their eligibility forms have been received and forwarded to the Chief Judge. Now that everyone is ready, let the 2021 District 109 Evaluation Contest begin. Let's give an applause for our contestants today. The speaking order for our contestants has been drawn, and it was drawn in random order as follows. The first speaker, Gloria Teo. Gloria Teo is our first evaluation contestant for today. Fanny Chappelle, second. Fanny Chappelle is the second. Alisa Bukad is our third evaluation speaker today. Alisa Bukad. The fourth, Peter Karayanakis. Peter Karayanakis is the fourth evaluation speaker for today. And we have the fifth, Stefan Goslar. Stefan Goslar is our fifth speaker for today. And finally, not the least, we have, sorry, my screen just got changed there, but I hope you can see that the final speaker that we have for today is Andy Barbiero. Excuse me, Andy. I hope that is clear for our judges and for all our officials. Thank you very much. For the contestants, when it is your turn to speak, I will introduce you by saying your name twice, and then I will give you the floor. Let me just do this. Now, let me introduce to you our target speaker. For today's session, we have an esteemed target speaker. I would ask the Zoom master, please. Thank you, target speaker. I see you. Let me introduce our target speaker and welcome him. Welcome, Florian. Can everybody please welcome our target speaker, Florian Bey. Thank you very much, Florian. Florian, you have turned on your camera and have you unmuted yourself?
Yes,
Have you pinned the timer?
I can see the timer.
I hear you loud and clear, Florian. Thank you very much. Florian Bey, never forget. Never forget Florian Bey.
It was a beautiful spring day in Moscow. The sun was shining over the Kremlin, and I, huddled with dozens of Muscovites, watched the carefully orchestrated ceremony of the changing of the guard by the eternal flame. As I watched the ceremony and looked the flame rising to the heaven, I suddenly felt quite emotional, and the weight of history hit me. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, 27 million. 27 million men, women, and child, over 3 times the population of Switzerland or Austria. Such is the human cost of World War II, borne by the people of Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and the other former Soviet Union countries. The scale of this sacrifice is very difficult to comprehend nowadays, and is often ignored and forgotten in the West. World War II was a war against evil itself, whose fate was to be decided in the East. The German goal for conquering the Soviet Union were vast and fulfilled key strategic objectives: securing the fertile wheat fields of Ukraine to feed the German population, securing the oil fields of the Caucasus to fuel its oil machine, its planes, its tanks with which to bomb the United Kingdom, and securing manpower and industrial base with which to more muscle with which the Western allies could be struck even harder. There was also another more sinister purpose to this invasion: the conquest of Lebensraum, living space, land in which millions of German peasant soldiers were to be settled after the war, and the native Slav inhabitants, the Russian, the Ukrainian, the Belarusian, the Poles, exterminated, deported, or reduced to slavery, destroying their own cities piece by piece with their bare hands to turn them into lakes, as desired by Hitler, or toiling endlessly in mine and factories and plantations as slaves to be worked to death. The German army swept eastward initially from June 1941. In huge cauldron battles at the frontiers, the Soviets were defeated. Millions of prisoners of war were captured and scooped up. They were all sent westward to Germany to work to death in the mines, in the farms, and in the factories. Less than a third ever returned home to see their families again. Behind the victorious German soldier came the SS and the Einsatzgruppen, special groups whose order were to improve the racial hygiene of the conquered land and solve the Jewish problem by any means necessary. After the fall of the city of Kiev in 1941, 35,000 civilians were headed north in the ravines of Babi Yar. There, over the period of 2 days, they were shot to death, one at a time. Children were bayoneted to death or buried alive in the ravine. Such killing methods were later deemed inefficient by the German military command because they were bad for morale, since the soldiers had to look straight into their victims' eyes before killing them. We know the rest. Gas and extermination camp were the next chapter in this horrible story. Amidst this horror, the Russian and the Soviet people resisted with everything they could. On the home front, civilians worked 12-hour shifts in factories on starvation ration to build tanks, guns, and equipment with which to equip the armies. Some help came from the West as well, a trickle initially from the United Kingdom and later a flood from the United States. But this help only arrived in 1943, by which time the tide had already been turned in the Battle of Stalingrad. In Leningrad, today known as St. Petersburg, the city was sieged for 2 years, during which 1.5 million inhabitants survived on starvation rations, 2 slices of bread a day. 1.5 million starved to death by the end of this terrible siege. Behind the lines, the partisan movement organized themselves, sabotaging railway lines and running operations and doing propagandas. They did that at grievous cost to their lives and their families. In today's Belarus, 1/3 of villages were burned to death alongside their inhabitants. The most common method was to herd civilians in a church or in a barn, set it alight, while the German soldiers watched and laughed at what was taking place. But nevertheless, the partisans resisted. Eventually, led by brilliant generals such as Georgy Zhukov and Pavel Batov, the Soviet army turned the tide of the war and conquered Berlin in 1945. The scale of these events is difficult to comprehend to these days. But thanks to these immense sacrifices, World War II was won. And perhaps even bigger disaster have been avoided. Who knows what could have followed had the war been lost, entire nation reduced to slavery and wiped out the face of the earth. To our comrades in the East, with whom we in the West share a very special bond that is often neglected and forgotten in the midst of political tensions, I can only say, Спасибо большое, мои добрые товарищи. Я всегда буду память вас в своем сердце. Thank you, my dear comrades. I will always remember you in my heart. And so should you, because those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Never forget. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you, Florian, for your speech. Now, I would like to ask the Zoom master, please move all contestants to the breakout room. With a gentle reminder for the Sergeant-at-Arms to please announce the start of their 5-minute preparation and the end of that 5-minute preparation.
They are moved to the room.
Thank you very much. All have left. Okay, we don't have anyone else here with us. We have 5 minutes to share what else we enjoy about contest at the district level. I would like to ask the Zoom master if you can please share a screen for us about some other upcoming events to keep us informed of what we look forward to at the district level. Thank you very much. Not only do we have this event that's happening right now, we also have, you can see on the screen, the district conference that is happening on the 14th to the 16th of May, and it will take place in Hania this year. It's an online conference, Lead with Divergent Thinking. It is an interesting event also. You will enjoy this event. This event will be hosted again by Lillian Schafter-Kohler and her team, and it's going to be an interesting event to join. We have 5 minutes to spare, and I don't know if the judges would like to have this as silence or we could have some music.
Christina, could you possibly interview a little the target speaker if he's still here?
Thank you
Maybe
very much
a couple
for
of
that.
questions to see, a bit more about Florian.
Thank you very much, Lillian. That is a great way to keep ourselves entertained. Let's welcome back Florian.
Hello again.
Sounds like I'm the only one clapping, but Florian, I'm sure everybody else out there is also cheering for you. Florian, thank you very much for your speech. It was a speech about history. Please tell us more about how you came about the idea to have this speech.
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in history and always after World War II, Eastern European history and everything. And on Friday, I was deciding, well, which target speech should I deliver over the weekend? And I was like, well, I could do a speech on history. And I started brainstorming a few things initially. And I'm like, actually, I do have the making for a good speech. So I decided to write this one. But recently, I've been started to watch a YouTube series called The World War II in Real Time. And there's a sub-series in it called The War Against Humanity. And they do describe in pretty graphic terms some of the stuff that happened, like the Babi Yar massacre, for example. And it's just these are such important events that quite often we forget. I mean, a lot of people here in the United Kingdom think, Winston Churchill, it's the dog that's on TV for the insurance company and not the prime minister in World War II, that I just felt that I had to do my bit and do this speech.
And you did highlight the issues that sometimes may not come to the foreground and people do not remember or recall about history that sometimes get put on the side. It is great that you acknowledge the people that you have acknowledged. I am getting emotional because this is an emotional speech and you can feel it and you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
Florian, thank you very much for bringing that message of your speech through to us today and to the audience that are here with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What division do you represent and what your club? What is the name of your club?
I am from Division B in District 91. My home club is London Victorian. It's a club I launched 7 years ago near Victoria Station in central London. But now we meet online, and we've been meeting online away from our beloved hotel in which we meet for nearly over a year now, and it's great. I like District 109. I've been to many District 109 events in the past few years. I was in the Athens conference, was in the Milan conference in 2017, where I met Sabine and other people for the first time. Really lovely event. And I do hope I'll get to go in District 109 in person soon. I did miss Game of Words in Bulgaria in 2018, and I would have quite liked to go in some respect because it sounded really fun.
It sounds like you travel a lot, Florian. And I know you did say about your club being in London and you would like to go to Bulgaria and visit all the other Toastmasters that you've met across the
Just
community.
one point, the 5 minutes are over.
Thank you,
Please wrap
Zuma.
up.
Thank you very much, Florian. Florian, is there a lasting message you would like to leave with the audience today?
No, not at this time. Thank you for the opportunity to be the target speaker, Lillian.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zoom Master, for informing us of the time. Okay, so now that we are back to seeing who is going to come back first. Zoom Master, can you please bring back the first contestant?
Yes, I moved Gloria, who is the first speaker. I cannot see her in the room yet. Gloria, are you with us now? Maybe I have to move her again.
Please try.
Sometimes it doesn't work. I will switch into the room and get her out there. Just one moment.
Thank you very much, Zoom Master.
Now she's here with us. It worked. She's here.
Okay. Let us welcome our first contestant, Gloria Teo. Please, Gloria, turn on your video. Gloria, I cannot see you.
You don't see me?
Not yet. I do not see you.
My video is on.
I see you and I hear
Okay.
you.
You hear me
because you are-
well? Am I too
Yes.
loud?
You are okay. You are perfect.
Okay.
Gloria, have you pinned the timer?
Let me check. Timer 1, right? Oh,
That's
wait a
right.
second. I need to. Yes, I did. I'm good.
Our first speaker, our first evaluation contestant is Gloria Teo. Gloria Teo.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and dear Florian. Thank you very much for this very touching speech talking about our history that has affected everybody, especially the people in Europe. But I'm from Asia, we are affected too, but from other different countries. Okay. You presented your speech in a chronological way, showing the situation, the damages, the sacrifices, not just physically, not just on about oil field and wheat field, but also on human. And the numbers that you have given us is enormous. 27 million men, women, and children are affected. So this is a very cynic speech. You brought us from a bad, dark situation that goes even darker and worse. So we came from 35,000 of civilians shot dead. We have this horror Russian Soviet soldiers of war period. We have people being turned to slaves. So as you go through the speech, we could see how dim and how dark and how horrible the situation could have been for everybody living during that time, especially for those poor women and children. I would like to see how I can help you move to your next best level, Florian. I was thinking when you were talking about all the scene, yes, our emotions were building up. You were peeling it like the onion, you know, one scene at a time, going it deeper into the next scene and preparing us for the next scene. How about showing us some pictures? A picture speaks a million words. If you could just show us 1 or 2 or 3 significant pictures, that will help us even intensify this situation that you're trying to show. And I was thinking also too, how can you wrap it up, or is there a takeaway message for the audience? What is your takeaway message? Is that just about not forgetting the war? What about us doing something? Call the audience to do something. And the third thing I was thinking about was, what was your personal experience? You must have experienced something. That's why is this speech so important to you? What about sharing your personal experience with us? All in all, it's a fantastic speech, going back to history, trying to remind us how bad the situation was, and never do it again, and never forget. So this is a fantastic takeaway for me personally. And I think you must be speaking some Slavic language. If you could have translated that into English for a Russian speaker or Slavic language speaker, it would be a huge takeaway for us too. Back to you, Madam Contest Chair.
We will have 1 minute of silence for the judges, please.
Madam Contest Chair, 1 minute is over.
Thank you. Zumasa, please bring in the next contestant, Fanny Chappelle.
Just a moment, I need to go in there. Okay, now she is here with us.
Fanny, can you please turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Yes, I have.
I can hear you loud and clear. Fanny, have you pinned the timer?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Fanny Chappelle. Fanny Chappelle.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and Florian. Well done for this speech, which was profound, emotional, and covering a topic that is not to forget indeed. I think you particularly excelled at 4 things in your speech. Firstly, the use of pauses. 27 million. Pause. That's brilliant because it really allows the information to sync with the audience. Your pace throughout the speech was great as well. Not too slow, not too fast, for the audience easy to follow. Thirdly, the use of storytelling for such a topic that is not so easy to cover was brilliant right from the beginning. And fourthly, the eye contact throughout the speech was really good with your camera at eye height at all times. Now, in terms of the areas where I think there is still some room for improvement, and this is just in terms of fine-tuning really, because your speech was really good overall, I have 3 recommendations to make. Firstly, the use of hands. I would encourage you to actually take another step back so that we can see your hands at all times, or to take a step forward so that we don't see your hands at all. It was a bit disturbing to sometimes see your hands and sometimes not throughout the speech, which is a bit distracting for the audience. Secondly, I would encourage you to use more vocal variety. As I said, you were really good with pauses and pace. Now, in terms of power and pitch, I would encourage you to emphasize even more on that. Let me give you 2 examples. You started your speech with a story, so why not whispering at the beginning of the speech when you start the story? Secondly, 27 million. You can sound shocked when you announce this number because it is indeed shocking. So adding more power and pitch would have been great. Last but not least, my last recommendation is on the conclusion of your speech. Basically, our call to action is to not forget. I would take this call to action 1 step further and encourage the audience to actually think about their own story and what in their own story in terms of country history is not to forget. So I would encourage you to go 1 step further with the call to action. All in all, to conclude, really well done, Florian. You are really good at pauses, pace, storytelling, eye contact. I would encourage you to use your hands even more throughout your speech, to use more vocal variety in terms of power and pitch, and finally, to bring the call to action 1 step further. Well done, Madam Contest Chair.
We will have 1 minute of silence for the judges, please.
Madam Contest Chair, 1 minute is up.
Thank you. Zoom Master, please bring in the next contestant, Alisa Bukad.
Yes, she's here with us in the room.
Alisa, I see you. Your camera is on. Please say something that I can hear you.
Hello, Madam Contest Chair.
Hello, Alisa. Have you pinned the timer?
That's a very good point. I will do that now. Yes, I have pinned the timer.
Alisa Bukad. Alisa Bukad.
Sometimes even a speech about the sacrifices of 27 million brave men and women can touch the hearts of Toastmasters at a contest on a Sunday afternoon. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, virtual guests and judges, and Florian. Florian, you came here today with an objective to touch us and also to educate us about the sacrifices that I just mentioned. I'd like to compliment you, especially on the way that you packaged the speech. It's a difficult topic, a heavy one. And I believe that you had the natural gravitas and the seriousness in order to bring that across to the audience. The use of pauses that you employed and the pacing of your speech really sucked us in and put us into a kind of trance in order to let us really feel the emotions that you were getting across. I'd like to also compliment you on the details that you used, the historical ones you brought in. But not only that, you started with a positive story, which made us interested about what you were going to say in the speech by giving it a personal dimension. And then you brought us through in a great chronological and topical structure into the heart of your message, which was to never forget. Now, Florian, fellow Toastmasters, I have a personal connection to Florian's speech because I'm of Russian origin and my grandfather died as one of the 27 million men and women in World War II fighting against the Axis powers. Not everyone in the audience has such a personal connection. Not everyone in the audience might be as riveted to the speech as I was. Florian, in order to bring that across to even more members of the audience, I think that you could implement the following suggestions that I would have for you. Number one, and what I noticed overall about your speech, and which I loved, was you had two great bookends on it. In the beginning, you had a personal bookend with your personal story about being in Moscow, a place that some of us know well about and also can picture in our heads. That was a great image. And you had the bookend at the end of the political tensions and the objective, kind of the lesson that you wanted us to take away from your speech. In the middle, I felt those bookends were missing a few books. If you take the personal message, and that's the first point I would make, and draw it through the entire speech, if you really crack open your soul, take some of that gravitas away and intersperse it with a little bit more of the personal stories. Why you're interested in this topic? Do you have a personal connection to it? Why are you interested in giving us all these statistics? And what else did you experience in Moscow and these countries in order to bring it closer to us? Secondly, the goal at the end. I felt that at the end you inserted the political tensions and the history repeating itself, which was not extremely well done throughout the entire speech. If you draw those goals through, it'll be even more personal for the audience. Thirdly, in terms of delivery, again, the gravitas and the pauses and the chronological order were great. A little bit more gestures. We couldn't always see your hands and we couldn't always see your heart again in the speech with your facial expressions and really what it meant to you. In summation, the gravitas of the speech and the structure were really great. Try to work on weaving the personal story and really getting it into our hearts and interspersing the goal more perfectly into the speech. Спасибо большое, Florian. Contest Chair.
One minute of silence for the judges, please.
Madam Contest Chair, 1 minute is over.
Thank you, Master. Bring in the next contestant, Peter Karayanakis, please.
I moved him. Let me see if he is here. It always takes some seconds. Maybe I have to do it again. Not working at the moment. I will go and get him from the room.
Thank you, Sabine.
He's here with us. We can start.
Peter, please unmute and turn on your camera.
I think I'm unmuted and camera is on. Please confirm.
Yes, I can see you and I hear you. Have you pinned the timer?
Okay, just give me a second. Timer. Okay, I have pinned the timer.
Peter Karayanakis. Peter Karayanakis.
Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and my test speaker, Florian. Florian, you, my friend, are a star. In my handbook of speech evaluations, star is spelled S-S-T-A-R. Say something they'll always remember. And that's exactly what you did. You opened up a speech about history, and yet you made it so presently real. I'm forced to go in and read about it when I finish this contest. I particularly enjoyed the fact that you opened up with a beautiful narration, a spring morning on the Kremlin Square, watching the eternal flame. Over 24 million people. And then you compared it to Switzerland, 3 times as much. That brings data to life. That brings information to life. You had more data that made things even more real. You talked about the fact that 1.5 million people died and 1.5 million were killed. Starvation and killing. Data is very important because it brings to mind the reality of what you're trying to share with us. But I also enjoyed your hand gesturing. You raised 3 fingers to show us the 3 main countries in this conquering issue: Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. You also told us of the 3 reasons why these areas were invaded and raised your fingers again. You pointed to the East, hand gesturing. That brings the speech to life because it adds another dimension of reality. It makes it more vivid. And I applaud you for this. And then you left us with the key point: those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Now, how can a great speech like this go even greater? I would have enjoyed some dialogue. Remember, narration tells, but a story sells. How about adding some dialogue from, for example, the Diary of Anne Frank's? If you had taken out something like that and perhaps created some dialogue and then said, these are the exact words of Anne Frank's. Here I was sitting just before the death camp, and I didn't know what was going to happen to me. This would have given another dimension to the great speech you already had and taken us to another level of reality and emotional intensity. Or I would say to you that this is a great speech that has reached the level of interest in history. You had perfect details, you had data, you had facts, you had narration, but a story sells with dialogue because dialogue is the emotional intensity that will let us into your speech. To sum up, great speech, great moment in history, add dialogue, and I am sure I will be sitting and listening to you in the annals of history. Over to you.
Again, 1 minute of silence for the judges, please.
Madam Contest Chair, 1 minute is over.
Thank you. Zoom Master, please bring in our 5th contestant, Stefan Goslar.
Let's see if it worked for now. Yes, he is with us. It worked.
Thank you. Stefan, please unmute and turn on your camera.
I'm here.
I hear you. I have yet to see you.
You should see me. My camera is on.
Now I see you. Thank you. Have you pinned the timer?
I'm just doing that now. Yes, I have pinned the timer.
Okay. Stefan Goslar. Stefan Goslar.
Florian, I'd like to thank you for your speech and especially for your bravery. Dear fellow Toastmasters, this was really a brave speech. Why? Because it made us uncomfortable. I think nobody of us would like to hear a lot about the deaths in the Second World War. And I think especially because of that, we need to hear it. Otherwise, as you put it so clearly, Florian, we are doomed to repeat it. If we forget our history, we are doomed to repeat it. I really appreciate this speech because it makes us think. When it comes to improvements, there are a few things that I would recommend that you change, that I think you could improve. First, you really were good on your gestures. You were really excellent with when you said the children were bayoneted to death. Yeah, you made a throwing away gesture, which gave me the immediate feeling that yes, they threw away their lives, and that struck to my heart. I have 2 daughters, and they just threw away the lives of thousands of daughters. And you did the same when you told in the Ukraine they put people in churches and they just burned them down. You really showed how these horrible times, how they dealt with human lives, how they I don't get it out, how they just didn't care how many people they kill. Now that really was horrible. On the other hand, yeah, however, as good as you used your gestures, we all have to get used to the Zoom world, because some of your gestures were just below screen. And gestures are the punctuation marks of our language. We can put things close. We can gather things. We can put them aside. We can take them to heart. That's all we can do. And it's saddened me a bit that some of your gestures were down there. And the audience then thinks immediately, what does he hide? What happens down there? And suddenly the focus of the audience goes to what's below the screen instead of the whole performance of the gestures and your words. The second thing I think you can improve is you really selected your tone of voice and you measured your pace according to the topic that was fitting. But sometimes it's really helpful to speed up, to put a bit more emotion in there, because you could have dramatized this a bit more, the whole drama you talked about, and you could have involved the audience a bit more by speeding up and slowing down and coming to a point and clearly saying, with your, not only with your words, but also with the tone of words and with the speed, how you feel about that. I think your speech is really important, especially now, because it put together something that is important right now. Because no matter how big our enemy, if we are stand fast, if we are brave, and we have unity, we can overcome everything. Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
One minute of silence for the judges, please.
Madam Contest Chair, 1 minute is over.
Thank you. We will now have the final contestant, contestant number 6, Andy Barbiero. Zoom Master, please bring in Andy.
Now they should be with us.
Andy, please unmute and turn on your camera. Can you hear me, Andy? Do you hear me, Andy?
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you and I can see you. Have you pinned the timer?
I'm unable to pin the timer. My screen has been reduced. May I ask that I be pulled out and in again? I think I have a problem with my connection.
Zoom Master, would you be able to help Andy find the timer, figure out how he can?
Yeah, let's try. Let's try something.
Timer 1. Okay, I have the timer.
Okay. Great.
I have the timer, but I don't see the video of the timer. I cannot see the timer.
He's black at the moment. You will see the colors as soon as he displays them.
Okay, thank you.
Andy, confirm to me you have pinned the timer. That is correct?
I have pinned the timer.
Okay, thank you very much. Andy Barbiero. Andy Barbiero.
What's in it for me? Contest chair, Toastmaster friends. Florian, this is a question I ask myself when I listen to someone speak. What's in it for me? I'm going to come back to that question in a moment. But first, I'd like to share with you what really resonated with me with your speech, what I think really worked. You had a clear message. If you forget history, we're doomed to repeat it. We should never forget it. And you told it really well. You're a really good writer, Florian. You had beautiful language in your story. You said things like, you set off the story with a beautiful spring day, the sun was shining, you brought us into the scene. You said things like scale of sacrifice. You had really good language that was descriptive, and I appreciated that. You also delivered it really, really well. You had purpose in your movement when using your hands and counting. You also used terms like more muscle, and you showed us more muscle. You had an ominous tone when you were telling your story, and the storytelling style really worked. I love the way you talked about the pauses and the tone, the slaves that were being disseminated. This was good use of voice and good use of pauses, and I appreciated that. But back to my question, what's in it for me? You see, I liked your story, and Florian, I like you. But one of my favorite speakers, Ed Tate, a past international speech competition winner, he said to us, it's not our job as speakers to be liked. It's our job to be impactful. And I wish your message would have been a bit more impactful. It could have been perhaps if you would have shared with us a personal story of someone that went through the war and told us a little bit about the pain that you went through. You know what I'm talking about, friends, the impactful speeches that we hear. I had a dream. Martin Luther King or Greta Thunberg that said, how dare you? These are messages that have impact with us. And why do they have impact? Because they're authentic. And so, Florian, I would invite you to think about an authentic story. Mike Carr, last year's international speech winner, he said the best way to have impact and to be authentic is to rip yourself open and just be vulnerable and show us your feelings, and we can relate with you. If you had a story in there that had to do with the war, I would have related more with you, and it would have been that much better. Florian, you had all the ingredients. You had the message, you had good writing, you had a really, really good message. All you need to do to take it to the next level, in my opinion, is make it authentic and make it impactful. My sincere hope, friends, is that in some small way, my feedback can help you, Florian, help all of us become more impactful and authentic speakers. I look forward to this journey with all of you in Toastmasters to become the best versions of ourselves. Contest chair.
Now we will remain silent until all judges have completed their ballots and are moved to their breakout room.
Christina, I already moved them to the breakout room because there they have all the time they need to finish.
Thank you very much.
We are here with the contestants and all the other guests only.
Thank you very much, Sabine. That is very good. You are a great Zoom master for taking care of things very well. Please, I would like all contestants, let us welcome them back onto the stage. You can clap and turn on your camera and unmute yourself when I ask you. Thank you very much, all the contestants. We really enjoyed your evaluations. Well done. Great job, all of you. Very proud that you've represented your divisions today. We're going to have a brief interview to get to know a little bit better our contestants, get to know them on a personal level, not just from their Toastmasters perspective of their evaluation skills. I will start again, as the order of speaking, I will start with our first contestant, Gloria Teo. Gloria, can you please turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Yes, Madam Contest Chair, I'm unmuted and my video is on.
All right, Gloria, I can hear you. I know that technology has a little bit of a delay. I am not seeing you yet. I will see you shortly, I'm sure. Is your camera on? We would love to see your beautiful face, Gloria.
You still don't see me.
I still don't see you.
My
I hear
video
your
is
lovely
on.
voice, of course.
Okay, I'll switch off and on again.
All right. So there you are, Gloria. Very
Okay,
nice
it's
to
better.
join us again. Great. Gloria, I noticed from your profile that you mentioned that during the pandemic, cooking, baking, experimenting various recipes from various cuisines, Mediterranean, and of course, spiritual retreats, and you do crochet. Tell us a little bit about why you started doing meditation and spiritual retreats during the pandemic.
Okay, I think that was a period where you have a lot of spare time and a lot of spare time at home. And at the beginning, it really scares me to have to be 24/7 with my husband and my son. I was thinking, okay, that will be the point of conflict. Should there be conflict? But it didn't turn out that way. So in the end, I had a lot of spare time, which I could, that I could use of, which I don't usually have. So I start catching up with all my hobbies, like eating, cooking, adventuring to different kinds of cooking cuisines, and then the spiritual side was calling all this while. And I'm in various prayer groups, so they were pumping up their programs. We, instead of meeting twice a month, they were like meeting every weekend, you know. So that's where I got much more spiritual, and there's a lot of possibility now thanks to the pandemic that we can do virtual online retreats and workshops and recollection. So I have virtual retreats in Australia with an Indian priest. I have that in America. I have that all over the world, which is fantastic.
Thank you, Gloria. We're going to stop our interview here because I had just received word that you will be competing in another contest later. As per the rules, I should not interview a contestant who is yet to participate in another contest during our district level contest. I am sorry about this. I was not aware, Gloria. I should have asked you, are you participating in another contest later? But I thank you for coming on shortly, and I do apologize to our officials, and I do apologize to our viewers that this sometimes happens when we are not communicating well our information. But I do hope that we will continue to enjoy the rest of the interview. I will now go to the second contestant in the order that we had them speak today. Please unmute and turn on your video. Fanny.
Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? See me okay?
Very good, Fanny. Very nice to see you again. And I would like to check with you. You are not competing in another contest later?
I'm not, no.
Thank you very much, Fanny. Fanny, I looked at your profile and it says that you are inspired by doers, people who push limits without disrespecting others. Tell us a little bit about that, Fanny.
Sure. So, you know, I have been working in startups for 8 years now. So this is the environment I grow in professionally, and I'm very inspired by people who just, you know, do things and accomplish things and do not just speak about it, but are, you know, moving forward and actually completing things. So I'm very inspired by some entrepreneurs, some entrepreneurs coaches on the professional level. So that's about it. And I really value honesty. I like people who are straightforward. I think that helps. I mean, you know, Toastmasters is a great example of how important feedback is, and constructive feedback. It's never meant to hurt anyone, obviously. It's simply supposed to help someone improve. So yeah, I've always really admired honesty, being straightforward and constructive whenever we speak with someone.
I believe that too. And as all our Toastmasters, we know of the Toastmaster values. I'm sure some of it aligns with yours also. Fanny, tell us a little bit about the division you're representing today and the name of your club.
Sure. Actually, I'm part of the Nyon International Club in Switzerland. So in the western part of Switzerland, Nyon is a small town near Geneva. So the division D I am part of is actually the western side of Switzerland, so the French-speaking part. I mean, I really love. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I really love, you know, the division. Sorry, I always get confused with division and district. I think I'm super lucky to have so much support from everyone in the division. It's amazing how everyone is constructive, really trying to help, you know, positive. And yeah, it's actually the second time I'm competing at this level. About 2 or 3 years ago, I was competing in the French speeches. And again, I received so much support. So I'm very thankful for everyone in the district.
Well done, Fanny, and well done to your members who support you. You've come this far to represent them, Sim. I'm sure they are very proud of you. Thank you, Fanny. I will now move to the next contestant. Hello, Alisa, can you hear me?
Hi, Christina. Yes, I can.
Very nice to have you back again. Alisa, I'm looking at your profile, and your interests and hobbies are migration law and policy, literature, and opera. Tell us a little bit how Toastmasters has helped you with the interest of migration law and policy.
I think it's a great training for the presentations and the public speaking opportunities, which I hope to have in that area. I'm becoming more and more active in terms of policy and law because I'm a lawyer in my day job. And I think that my Toastmasters experience will certainly help me have the confidence to stand up for my positions and go through with that.
Exactly. Toastmasters helps everyone, even in their professional capacity. And I believe it has done the same, not just for you, but all of us who are watching here in the district and around the world. Tell us a little bit about your club and the district, the division that you represent today, Alisa.
My club is Zurich Toastmasters, the oldest Zurich Toastmasters club. And we're a group of very versatile and diverse individuals between the ages of, I would say, mid-20s, maybe even early 20s into their 70s, which is a huge diversity. I think there are no other lawyers in that club, which I also appreciate because I spend the rest of my life with lawyers, and it's really nice to have that diversity. And the division as well, unfortunately, I'm not so familiar with it. I haven't been kind of scoping around there besides the contest, which I participated in 2 weeks ago. But I assume it's also full of great people. My club is dynamic. We have an amazing board, which is doing wonders for club promotion and also to make us comfortable during the Zoom meetings that we've been having, unfortunately, and not the personal meetings. So actually a huge shout out to my club of Zurich Toastmasters and a huge thank you for all their support of me, of course, in this journey.
Thank you very much, Alisa. I'm sure your club members are proud of you, and of course the division too is proud of you representing them here today. Thank you, Alisa. I will
Thank
now
you, Christina.
Thank you. The next one I have on my list is Peter. There you are, Peter. I can see you. Peter, we've heard this during our preparation that you're speaking to us from a bowling alley. Tell us where this bowling alley is.
This bowling alley, Madam Contest Chair, is on the small island of the Aegean called Carpathos. And I entreat everyone to come visit me. I offer to give you good speech evaluations on the beach. I call them beach evaluations.
On the beach, that's enticing already, Peter. I mean, at this time, we're trying to come out of this cold weather and we're looking forward to warm weather. On the beach, you're starting to make ears turn. We want to be on the beach with you, Peter. Peter, I am looking at your profile here and it says your favorite quote is, "Your attitude determines your altitude." Give us a little bit more on that.
Well, I believe that a lot of things, particularly issues, challenges, problems related to yourself, begin with the attitude you have up here. And when you're able to cultivate the right type of attitude, you can engage with the world you can engage with other people more effectively, and ultimately become that better version that we're always talking about, and move out of your comfort zone and know how you do it strategically. I actually I'm not just a philosopher, but a practicing philosopher, in the sense that I have an Instagram account called Peter the Public Speaker, where I have a multitude of speaking engagements on the mountains of the small island of Carpathos, where you give me 60 seconds and I give you a narration, a message, and a takeaway. So this is what I mean about your attitude determines your altitude. Physically, I go up to the mountain, but mentally, I also take myself up high.
Thank you, Peter. I really like the message you're sharing here, especially with the quote that inspires you. I'm sure it inspires many Toastmasters too. And you almost have a tongue twister there with your, your Instagram profile, Peter the Public Speaker, except we do not know, not everybody will be able to pronounce your family name, Peter. So going to be a tongue twister for a lot of us. Peter.
But I must say, Madam Contest Chair, you did impress me with how dexterously, how skillfully you were able to swing my last name with one shot. And I have had professors in universities, language professors, have difficulty pronouncing my last name, and you did it like a guru.
Thank you. Very gracious from you, Peter. That comment, very gracious. I take that on board. Thank you very much. Peter, tell us a little bit the division that you're representing in your club.
I am from the Great Division B, from B2 area, from the club, the Stellar Club of Greece, the Pearl of Greece, Glyphada Toastmasters. If you want to get more of me, you know where you're going to find me, in Glyphada Toastmasters Club. And I entreat you to come in, because there's nothing better than Glyphada Toastmasters.
Thank you, Peter. There you have it, fellows and guest Toastmasters. You have it, you know where to find Peter, on the beach, in the club, and of course on Instagram. Thank you, Peter. I will now move to the next contestant. Hello, Stefan. Nice to see you again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Very good. Stefan, I'm looking at your profile, your interest, scuba diving, tennis, nature, camping. Scuba diving. Tell me about this scuba diving, Stefan.
Scuba diving is just the most exciting sport you could ever do, because when you're at the beach, it's nice, warm, and everything's fine. But when you're 5 feet below, you're in the most dangerous environment a human being can be in such a short distance. When the weather is bad, just go diving, because down there it's wet anyway. You see creatures in their habitat, in their living room. You usually only see in artificial habitats, and that's really exciting. It's a stressful sport. It's a challenging sport. It's physically challenging and mentally challenging, and I really love it.
Thank you for sharing your challenging sport with us. I'm sure once the pandemic is over, restrictions are lifted, people would want to explore more about scuba diving.
I was scuba diving yesterday.
Oh, you went yesterday?
When going scuba diving, you have to wear a mask anyway.
Okay, that's aligned with COVID restrictions and measures to be taken into consideration. Put on your mask. Great. Stefan, tell us about the division and the club that you're representing today.
I'm Division F2 in Club Erster Grazer Rhetorik Club, the first Grazer Rhetoric Club. We started, I think, 2017. We have an outstanding leadership team. They really managed to motivate and excite people. We moved into the online world without a hitch. From the first meeting on, it was like, okay, let's do it via Zoom. If not personally, let's do it via Zoom. Why not? And it was really great. It's a great experience. We all trained to deal with Zoom, how we can present. It's a very different animal to present via Zoom. I'm really happy to be in that club.
Thank you very much, Stefan. I'm sure we've all been through those experiences, trying to understand how do we become technically savvy overnight and take our club online. And like we are experiencing right here, we are now becoming better at it, but we still have a lot to learn. Thank you, Stefan. I will now speak with the final contestant, Andy Barbiero. Andy, unmute and turn on your camera, please. Yes, I can see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello.
Thank you, Andy. Hello.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
I am great. I hope all of you are, and especially you too, Andy.
Hello, Toastmaster world all over Europe.
Sorry, guys, I think Andy's also competing in another contest.
I'm not.
You're not? Then that's fine. Thank you. Please proceed.
Do you want me to?
Thank you, Lillian, for letting us check on Andy, because I didn't check with Stefan, but thank you for checking on Andy. Great, Andy, for confirming that you're not, so I can proceed. Andy, I like your Notable Accomplishment Award. It simply says in 3 words, I show up. Tell me how we show up.
You know what? In anything that you compete in anything you aspire to, in anything you want to reach, if you don't show up, there's no chance you're going to get it. So, you know, I used to be, well, I still am very competitive, but I used to be the kind of person that said, if I don't think I can win, I'm not going to try. Toastmasters taught me that, you know, it's not about the winning. It's really about showing up. And if you show up often enough, sooner or later, you can accomplish those goals. And it may not be right away, but if you never show up, absolutely you never will. It's kind of like a lottery ticket. If you don't buy it, you can't win.
Wow, great. Thank you very much for that message, Andy. Andy, please tell us about the club and the division you're representing today.
I'm representing my my young and enthusiastic milliners in Milan, and my division is Division A, all over Italy, some fantastic places from Pisa to Rimini to Turin to Genova. And you know, we've done a good job at going back online, but we are not doing all the things we could be doing in this beautiful country, where I could be sitting on a beach in Rimini doing a Toastmaster speech, or in Genova enjoying a nice focaccia. And I'll tell you what, I miss it.
Thank you, Andy. I'm sure focaccia will be proud of you for promoting it today. And of course, all the Italians love their focaccia. I tried it once and I also really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Andy. And
thank you. Enjoy the conference, everyone.
Yes, there you go, folks. There you have it, the 6 contestants. And now that we've heard a little bit of themselves, their personal interests, their hobbies, and their favorite quotes, I would like to say, let's give another round of applause for our evaluations contestant today. Please share with me to congratulate them. They really put in a lot of effort, not only at the club level, at the area level, at the division level. They made it all the way here to the district level. And I would like to congratulate all of you for being here. We've enjoyed your evaluations, the techniques and the takeaways to help any speaker become better or become, you know, great at the journey that they're embarking on to becoming the better version of themselves. I would like to say that results will be announced later this evening at 5 p.m. Thank you for participating in the District 109 Evaluations Contest. And I would like to now welcome back our District 109 Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Lillian Shaftakola. Lillian, please.
Thank you, Christina. A very interesting contest indeed. Very enjoyable hearing all the contestants. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the table topics contest coming up. But before that, we're giving you a break so you can stretch, get some water, and get ready to cheer on our table topics people. So with that, I wish to announce that we will be beginning at around 12:15, 12:20 again. So it's a bit of a break. Relax, and we'll be back soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
So we will stop the live streaming now on YouTube,
Exactly, yes.
and people can come back later for the next contest.